Thank you, Stefan, and welcome everyone to the third day of Data World. Hope you enjoyed first 2 days, and third day is going to be no less. We have amazing set of speakers and a very packed agenda, but there is nothing like ending the session or ending this conference from a keynote by Kristen, who is going to talk about Data 2.0. It's pretty exciting. But first thing first, let me welcome Anuj Jain, who is our keynote speaker today, this morning. And he's going to talk about, he's from Accenture, and he's going to talk about the technical content and the marketing content, how they can come together for the benefit of customer experience, right? So it's all about customer experience. So pretty exciting stuff. Yesterday, we had a session by Chidanand from Capgemini. He talked about intelligent content, how intelligent content can revolutionize the space, the engineering space, right? And that particular domain. And before that, Anil was there. He was talking about how content can even drive machines. Content can be consumed by the machine, right? So you can see that content is evolving, and it's like kind of driving all kind of things. So today I'll just touch upon that and then take it a little forward in the future, how it would look like, right? A little bit about me. I'm the director of products in technical communication. I manage all the products which are getting kind of showcased in this conference. So I am just part of that management. So let me get started. All of you would be aware of what UGC is. It's a user-generated content. So I'm changing a little bit and replacing U by M is a machine-generated content. So let's look at how the machine-generated content, and all of you are aware, I'll give examples. So there are primarily two categories, right? One is that rule-based, all the content which is generated by machine. And the second, which is evolving very rapidly, is AI and ML. And this is like all over the place at this point of time. You keep hearing, even in this conference, every other session you hear about this. But let's dig deeper. Rule-based, why do you have that machine generating the content? Wherever you have to deal with volume, right? Nobody can do better than the machine or the computer, right? So it can do that very effectively, which humans can't. They can, but it is very time-taking and is error-prone and so on, where it can handle it in very cost-efficient manner. And the automation, if you have scripts or other things which can take care of the generation of the content, those, and you can put a rule behind that, those are very effectively can be done by the machine, right? This is a category of content which is generated by the machine. So let's take some example. Mail merge, all of you would be aware. So you give those rules, and then automatically the mail gets generated, and then it just gets sent, right? So mail merge has been there for a long time, and it's like probably everybody's aware of this. Whenever there is or before that, we are in a world of hyper-personalization. Everywhere, from content to any product, is just getting personalized. You have a book with your name written on top of that, and so on. So the personalization is everywhere. And how do you handle that at scale? Personalization at scale is another example which can be done by machine and which humans can't handle that effectively. And let me give you some example. So this is from Kohl's, it's the outfit experience, and this is the email content, right, with social ads, and the content is there. And the same content, if you see the online experience on a mobile or on a desktop, the banner looks, you can see that the content is there, those imageries, and how it gets kind of a change. So if you have to personalize for, let's say, 1,000 or hundreds of thousands kind of different personas, different geos, and so on, all kind of targets, just can't do that. Is humanly that is not possible, and it will be very, very costly. But here, if you see in this particular example, how the imagery is kind of, even that, all these are machine generated, kind of got put together. If it is a desktop banner, it just kind of lined up in a single line, and the text or what text to pick up, what size to give, all these are determined by the machine. It's like automatically it gets taken care of. And then on your website, the full experience is different. So this is just one example. And Adobe's Experience Cloud is the engine behind this, which can fuel this. And there are like various parts of it. From the outside, it looks simple, but if you dig deeper, there are various components to it. So let's start with top left corner, which is about the data. So you have to have the data and insights. So Adobe Audience Managers, you need to know about your audience. You need to have the analytics data, the insights about your customer, right? And then going to the right, you have to have the content. So you have to have the assets for all personas or how you want to target, or the assets which even AI also is involved here. When I say rule-based, and that AI was different than this AI. AI is involved here as well. So you have to have the content which AI can use and to personalize for all targets. And then you have to have the decisioning engine. So the bottom right corner, if you look at, so you need to have the target or how do you want to create your campaign and so on, and different channels, what you want to do. And then you have to have your delivery mechanism, how you kind of deliver to all those targets, all those personas which you want to take your content to. So it's like a big machinery behind taking care of all your needs. And then this can handle the personalization at scale, and not scale at a hyper scale, like it's like millions of targets you have and you want to kind of take your content to, right? So that was one example. But those are all rule-based. What I told you, those are like all rule-based, so not so much fun. You can bring AI and ML into it, and what it can do. So it can do things differently which can't be done otherwise. So AI and ML, the biggest power is in the rule-based, you have to, or in a statistical way of doing things, you have to teach computer the language. You have to put if and else, all the conditions, all the decision trees. And if it is English, then you have to say, okay, if this is this sentence, do this way, or teach all the grammars and so on. It's not scalable. If you use machine learning, then machine can learn English, it can learn French, it can learn, becomes language agnostic. And whatever solution you have, you can effectively target for any language, right? So that is one of the biggest power, and machine can learn on its own. So you don't have to teach its grammar or any of those things, past tense, future tense, it just knows how to kind of create content. And then it can create content for you, right? So whereas the other rule-based, they just can't create content for you. But if you have AI and ML, this is like really interesting. It can create content as well, right? So let's look at some of the examples. So the area of, or the discipline of AI which deals with this is called natural language processing. And there are two parts of it. One is the natural language understanding and the natural language generation. So natural language understanding is like you give command to Alexa and Alexa understands it. That is like natural language, and you give that command in the natural language. So it understands, and then probably it can understand in any natural language. It can understand French, German, or Indian language, and so on, right? And the natural language generation, that is what we are interested in this particular session, is how it can generate language as well, out of the content as well. And that is not easy. The first part is easier. The second part is like far tougher. So what is the state of the art at this point of time? So there are some of the examples I've given. So you write mail these days, automatically it prompts you to complete the sentence. It's like Smart Compose, you use Gmail or any other. Some of those editors also have it. It will just auto-complete your sentence. Or it will figure out, okay, probably this is what you intend to respond. And at times it is annoying, but yeah, it works. So Smart Compose is that. Auto Summary, this has been around for probably a decade or so. And computers have become quite effective in summarizing a piece of content. If you give a content or a paper, it can read and it can summarize, and then it can create a paragraph on that. So it's like very effectively it can do that. Data driven reports. So you have the data, for example, financial data. It can write a report very effectively. So you can have a report written by the computer. And there are various applications which does that in the market right now at this point of time. Similarly, product description. So it can take up data from your PLM systems or other, and it can write beautiful descriptions about the product. So those things it can. It can have a bot responses. So some of the chat bots, they can give the response and so on. So at the bottom, I have some of those the machine learning or the deep learning kind of algorithms which is in play. So and then I put a kind of in a progressive order what is the latest. So the initial ones are like Markov chain. It's like it predicts your next word. So a smart compose uses Markov chain algorithm. So it just predicts your what could be the next word. It is not dealing with sentence, by the way. It is dealing with words. It gives you next word. RNN is recurring neural networks. It's a neural network algorithm. What it does is, whatever it has kind of written, it just feeds back in the loop to kind of produce the next sentence. So it can deal with sentence, but after generating a sentence, it doesn't know what I wrote earlier. So this algorithm can feed back into this, right? So it can write the coherent next line. Now, LSTM is long short-term memory. So just see the dichotomy here, long short-term memory. It's a more advanced version of RNN, so it can deal a little bit more. But you can see the challenge of AI and ML. It is writing, but it doesn't have a memory. It doesn't have the context. It can write one sentence. It just doesn't know what I wrote. Next sentence can be completely disjointed. So these algorithms are still a very nascent stage where it can write a coherent one-pager where it knows what it wrote all across. So right now, it can just generate 2-3 sentences. That's it. That is where the state of the art is at this point of time. This is an interesting book. This is a book written by machine. I have just taken it from internet. So this is like published from Springer Nature. And this book is about lithium-ion battery. This sounds really cool, that a book, and I have downloaded it. It's about 700 pages. It's a PDF. It's easily available. You can download it and you can just flip through it. It sounds really cool. And the application, the AI and ML application which they have, they call it as a beta writer. So the beta writer has written this book. But if you see the summary or what is written below lithium-ion batteries, is a machine-generated summary of current research, right? So whatever I told you in the previous slide, that computer has become very good at creating summary. It's written a book, but it's still as a summary. What it has done is, on a lithium-ion batteries, whatever the research papers are or the related journals, it has kind of went through each of them and summarized them and then collated that. So that is what it has done. So once you know the details, it may not sound so cool, right? But still, at a very high level, a book written by a computer is really promising. Okay, so this is a loaded question. Can this happen? My answer is no. Computer can never become that creative, and you saw that from the algorithms, that computer doesn't know what it wrote previously. It doesn't have a context, even a paragraph. It just knows, okay, what I wrote in a previous line. And then you can say that, oh, you can very well make it understand 4-5 lines and so on. The moment you go beyond 2 lines, the computation becomes so intensive that it requires huge amount of memory and compute and so on, that it is not feasible at this point of time, right? So still, it's a long way to go before machine can do an effective job in writing, but it can do a whole lot of things, from dealing with volume and other stuff which we saw. So both will have its own place, but this is not happening. right? So that is what my thing is. So with that, thank you. I think it's time for Anuj to take over, and I have shared my email ID. I'll be happy if you have any questions, or if there is any interest, any question for me, I'll be happy. I'm around for some time so that I can answer, and if there is anything on the chat bot. With this, I'll hand it over to back to Stefan, and then probably to Anuj. Thank you very much. Have a great day.